All right, we are on the bottom of 116, and then we're going to do a 117 Kof Yod Zayin today. We have basically four topics. We're going to start with saving the Torah scroll. First, we're going to compare that to laws of Pesach. If you have to prepare Korban Pesach on Shabbat, we're going to compare that law to saving Torah scrolls on Shabbat. And then we're going to talk about the type of courtyard that you can save it to. And then the next topic will be saving food on Shabbat. First, we'll see a few halachic loopholes and tricks for saving more food and compare it to other loopholes in other areas of halacha. And then we're going to be talking about some of the customs and halachot about breaking bread on Shabbat and Shtei Alechem. So a lot of really interesting and some practical things too. Okay, a quick review. We spoke about in the Mishnah that if someone's house is on fire and they have a Sefer Torah, they can save the Sefer Torah and also tefillin. But not only that, they can save the covering of it, which is really interesting because the covering itself, if you just had a covering, you wouldn't be able to save it. It's not that important. But since you're saving the Torah, you could also save the covering. And it's also tefillin. Not only that, even if there's money in the koracha, you can keep the money in there and save that as well. And you can save it to an alleyway that is closed, but open alleyway. Ben Betara is more mekel. He says even in open alleyway. So we're going to analyze each one of these. So we're going to start off with Korban Pesach and see there also has a similarity. It's also if we prepare Korban Pesach on Shabbat, if the 14th of Nisan falls out on Shabbat, then you have to. But you have to minimize it because it is after all Shabbat and you don't want to prepare from Shabbat for the next day. So the things that you need to do in the Mizbeach, the parts of the Korban that you take out and put on the Mizbeach, that has to be done on Shabbat, so that's allowed. But the rest of it, which you're going to barbecue and then eat that night, then you should wait till the nighttime. So everybody agrees on those points. What they disagree on is removing the skin from the Korban. We have two opinions. Rabbi Ishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka. This Rabbi Ishmael is a fourth generation Tana. He says that you can skin it up the chest area because that way you can take out the inner organs that will be put on the Mizbeach for Korban Pesach. That's all. And then the rest of the skinning, you have to wait till the nighttime, then you skin the rest, and then you barbecue the rest. So Rabbi Ishmael is machmir. This is the minimal amount. The Chamim say you can skin the entire thing because once you started, even though it's Shabbat, so you finish, you continue and do the entire thing. All right. So we understand Rabbi Ishmael because he says you only do what is for heaven's sake. L'tzorach gavoa, what needs to be in the Bet Hamikdash. How about Rabbanan? Why did they say you could do the whole thing? Because they quote a pasuk from Mishle. Kol pa'al Hashem lema'anehu. God does everything everything that Hashem does is for His sake. And so here, skinning the whole thing is also for heaven's sake. In what way? First of all, it won't deteriorate. If you skin the whole thing, then it allows it to be cooler. If you keep half the skin on, it'll be warm, and then it will deteriorate faster. So it's good. This is holy meat. It's good for it. Also, it doesn't look nice. It looks like a nevela. If the skin is half on and half off, it's not proper. It's not respectful for this korban to be like that. All right, but that we saw yesterday. Now this pasuk, Ba'al Hashem lema'anehu, beautiful pasuk in Mishle, we wonder what does the other side, what does Rabbi Ishmael do with that pasuk? Because he said you can only skin half of it. So what about this pasuk? He says this means shelo yotzi et ha'emurim kodem hafshatat ha'or. That you should not just go do surgery and take out the innards of it without taking off the skin. First, take off the skin, half of it, and then take out those the inner parts. Why? Because of hairs. That if you would not leave the skin on and try to take out the kidney, the intestines, the fat, those parts, then the hairs would get on it, and that's not proper. Those would be put on the mizbeach. It smells bad. It's not good. Okay, so that's his reason. Now we're going to connect this issue of Korban Pesach to our issue of saving a Sefer Torah. So here we go. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Ukba, Amar Mor Ukba. Ma yahadure le chabraya Rabbi Ishmael ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka. What did the other sages respond to Rabbi Ishmael? because they think that you can skin the entire thing. So how did they respond to the Bishmael's statement? They have a proof for their view that you can skin the entire korban from our Mishnah. Look, when I have to save a Sefer Torah because it's burning, I'm allowed to save the covering. In other words, once I'm allowed to violate Shabbat in order to save something that's holy, I can go all the way and do it properly and do it with extra protection. So too, when I have to violate Shabbat for Korban Pesach, also something that's holy, then I'm allowed to do it the whole way, do it properly. That it shouldn't be warm and deteriorate. It should be respectful. See, so you prove from our Mishnah that we are right, that you can take off the whole skin. That's their proof. Now we're going to question the proof a number of times. Mitameh, is that really similar? Hatam tiltul, hacha melacha. In the case of saving a Sefer Torah, we're only speaking about just carrying something into it's a courtyard anyway. But here it's a melachah, to skin an animal. That's one of the 39 melachot. So you can't compare and say just because you're allowed to the Torah scroll, that's much easier to do than to skin an animal. Amar Rav Asher betarte pelige. Rav Asher is going to solve it in one way by saying that actually they disagree also in that area. Tiltul means carrying. It could refer to mukseh, but maybe it's only mukseh. Well, we're going to get into that in a second because we're going to see what kind of courtyard is it. So is it really considered carrying or not? It's certainly not carrying midoraita, a closed alleyway. Okay, but that's a good point. Okay, Rav Asher says actually the machloket between Rabbi Ishmael and the Rabbanan are in two matters. Number one, regarding the skinning the animal, they also have another machloket that they didn't say explicitly about. Can you move the carcass? Can you move the korban? Let's say it's in the sun and you want to move it into the shade. Are you allowed to do that? Is it considered mukseh? So here you might be right. So talking about mukseh. So they have an argument around regarding korban pesach, both moving it and playing it. If since you're allowed to save the covering of the Torah scroll with the Torah scroll, shouldn't we also be allowed to move the skin of the animal along with the animal itself? The animal I want to save, and the skin is attached to it. So it's similar to a cover. Midameh, hold on. Are those really similar? A Torah scroll cover is a basis for something that is allowed. I'm allowed to move the Torah scroll, so the covering is helping me. But here, the skin is a basis for something else that's also prohibited. The carcass of the animal is not something I can eat now, something I'm going to use later after Shabbat, and so it's mukseh now. So you can't compare the two. So this must be what the argument is. Oh, we're going to bring in the money. Remember in the Mishnah says, even if there's money that's hiding in the covering of the Torah scroll, I'm still allowed. So you see that I'm allowed to move the money because I'm moving the Torah scroll. And so that would be similar to moving the skin along with the rest of the animal. But here too we question it. In that case, covering is helping me carry both something that's not allowed, the coins, but also something that is allowed, the Torah scroll. Whereas here, regarding the animal, both the skin and the animal is all prohibited, or they're all mukseh. So it's still not a good comparison. Rather, we're going to go back to the drawing board. Since I'm allowed to go, let's say I go run into the burning house and there's a Torah scroll just bare, only the leather, only the scroll itself. So I can go out, back out, go find covering, and then bring it back, wrap it, and then take it out. So since I'm allowed to do that, shouldn't I all the more so be allowed to take the animal together with its skin? Okay, we just introduced this new thing of going out and finding a Torah scroll. We never even saw that case. So v'hikufa min alan. How do you know that law itself that you're allowed to do that? That you're allowed to go out and get a Torah case to bring it back? La shadi lehu ituye nami maitinan. If you say, well, since I can, if it's there, I can take it out, that means I can also go and find one. No, that doesn't make sense. Hatam adahachi v'hachi nafla deleka. Hacha adahacha v'hachi lishadinan. In the case where there's money already in it, then I'm in a rush because I have no time. Things are going to burn down. So then I can take it all out, put the money inside. But if I'm going and getting a separate one, by the time I'm doing that, I can also, while I'm running back, I can let the money out. And so those cases are also different. So we don't even know that that case is true, so that's not a good comparison. So now we go all the way back to what we said at first. We're going to go back to what we said at the beginning. The first argument, we're actually going to compare the case itself. We're going to say that since I'm allowed to move the scroll cover together with the Torah scroll, in other words, I'm allowed to go the whole way. Since I'm saving something holy, I can do everything properly. So to here, I can play the entire thing because that's the proper way to do it, since I am allowed to do it part of the way. And that what you asked, this one is just and over there it's a melacha flaying. I can say it's, for example, when I don't need the skin. See, it's only considered midoraita when it's melacha shesericha legufa. I need it because I actually want the skin. But if I'm taking off the skin, not because I want the skin, but rather because it's better for the flesh, then that is not considered a deoraita. And now I'm comparing apples and apples. They're both derabanan. They're both lower level. Mukseh and playing something not for its own purpose. Yeah.
So is the case with the meat is that it's like not really as much an emergency as the one with the Torah, it sounds like, or
it's not an emergency. That's right. You can leave could leave the skin on until after Shabbat, and that's why the Bishim Yishmael says you should leave the skin on until after Shabbat. But also here it's not an emergency. You can save the Torah scroll bare. In other words, take an extra second, take off the cover and carry only the minimal, right? The minimum. So that's really their point. You see in our Mishnah, you don't have to do the bare minimum. You do it once you're saving it, save it nicely. So too with Korban Pesach, once you're doing it on Shabbat, do it nicely. All right, that's the basic argument. Okay, now we just mentioned that the way you'll do it is by saying I don't want the skin, if that's the case. But Rabbi Shimon, although he says that's something that is not kavanah, that's no mitkaven. I should have said before. Even though that's not your kavanah to take the skin, but rather just I don't want the skin, but I want to save the flesh. But still, if it's for sure going to happen, that's like cutting off a chicken's head and saying, I don't want it to die. If it's for sure going to happen, even Rabbi Shimon, who's mekel, regarding the Davar no mitkaven, says you can't do it. The answer is the shakel be. It means when I flay it, I do it strip by strip, which is an unusual way of doing it. Usually you do it all in one shot. And by doing it strip by strip, it's a shinoi, and then therefore that is a derabanan. And so in the end, the rabbis who against the Bishmael, who say that you can flay the whole thing, are successful in bringing a proof from here. And I think this is a nice example of kind of the brilliance of the rabbis that are medameh davar ledavar. Right? There's different stages of learning. The first stage is they would just learn all the Mishnayot by heart, and the Barayot. You have to learn everything. So that would be first. And then once you know all the sources, then people show their real ingenuity by taking two cases that seem to have nothing to do with each other and saying, oh, this one is actually the same principle behind the other one. So I think this is a very nice example of that.
Rabbi,
yes.
The flaying supposed to be specifically so it's destructive? Because if a melacha is destructive, it's not.
Right. Yeah. First of all, you're not doing it because you want the skin, and then also we're going to do it in a strange way. And the shinoi. Yeah, I think you're right. It's also in a way destructive, right? Because I'm ruining the skin as I'm doing it that way. Okay. Very good. So now we said that you save it in the Torah scroll. You can't save it into the middle of the Shut Harabim, into the middle of a busy street. That's the Doraita. But you can save it into a courtyard, a closed courtyard according to Rabbanan, an open courtyard according to Ben Betera. So what is this? What is the definition of a closed courtyard and open courtyard? Hechidami mefulash, what's open? Hechidami sheno mefulash, what's considered closed? Rav Chisda says, shalosh mechitzot u'shnei lechayin, זה מבוי שאינו מפולש. שלוש מחיצות ולחי אחד, זה מבוי מפולש. We have a little picture here. So here is a courtyard. This is a mavoy, an alleyway. So you have all the private homes all around, and they're private courtyards, and they all open up to this alleyway. And this alleyway opens up to the major thoroughfare, Main Street over here. So this is considered the Shut Harabim Derabanan, and so you still cannot carry in it. However, if you do something in the opening, then you are allowed to cover. So what do you need to do to cover it? So the first opinion here, he says it's considered if you have three walls, in other words, it's enclosed on three sides, and you put two vertical side posts. One here. So these make like a virtual wall, and then it's completely enclosed. So if you have two of them, then that's considered a closed, and then everyone would agree that you're allowed to carry. And if there's only one of these side posts, then the Rabbanan would say, okay, but Ben Betera would say, no, you cannot. That is machloket. They both follow the opinion of the Tana Rabbi Eliezer and Mishnah in Eruvin, which says, when you have an alleyway like this, Bet Shammai says you need a cross beam and a side beam, or one or the other. These are really just as a reminder. When you see them, you say, "Oh, this is a separation. I'm allowed to carry here, but not in the Shut Harabim." The Eliezer omer shnei lechayim too. So they see that Rav Chisda is following the Eliezer. Unusual, especially against Bet Hillel. Okay, but that's what he's following, and that's the definition. That's Rav Chisda. Wait, if it has three full walls and one side beam, you're calling that open, right? That's pretty closed. And furthermore, Rabbanan natzil tocho chalin umashkin. Furthermore, according to the sages, that you should. This is like completely closed, and therefore you should be allowed to carry everything. Why not just save everything? It's like a private courtyard, because they're more makel here. So your definition is too expansive. No, only two full walls. Right? Imagine that this back wall wasn't here, and so you have two full walls, and then one lechi, one side beam here and there. That is a closed alleyway. If there's only one side beam, that's the one that's an open alleyway. That's what it's talking about. Okay, so he's very mekel. And our two Tanaim, the Rabbanan Ben Betera, they both can follow Rabbi Yehuda, who in a Baraita says, Yater al Ken Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Mi sheyesh lo shnei batim, v'shnei sidei Reshut Harabim, oseh lechi mikan v'lechi mikan. Two houses on both sides of a street, so that's two walls. So you put a side beam on each end, or koram mikan v'koram mikan, or a cross beam each end. Then you can walk, and then you can carry in the middle, right? So you see, he says only need two walls. And the other rabbis told him, no, that's not enough. You can't make an eruv in that way. Okay, but that's his opinion. Now, if you're following the Yehuda, and Yehuda says that is a good eruv, so then why are you saying you can only carry a Torah there? Why not carry everything? Carry your meals out there as well. And as in between, he's going to go back to the Eliezer, who says three walls. If it's three walls and two posts, that's for sure good. But we're talking about three walls and one post, that's a closed one, where everybody would agree you could save the Torah. Three mechitzot and sorry. Shosh mechitzot v'lechi echad, shosh mechitzot belo lechi. You have three walls and no side post at all. That is an open alleyway, and there only Rabbanan would allow it, but not Ben Betera. We're still following Rabbi Eliezer, who says officially you need two side posts. If you had two side posts, then you can save your food even. But if you don't have that, then you can only save the Sefer Torah. Sefer Torah, we're more mekel, we go in extra leniency because of the holiness of the Torah that we want to save. And that concludes the discussion of that Mishnah. Okay, so now we're going to go on and discuss saving food on Shabbat, and we see some very interesting halachot. Matzilin mezon shalosh seudot. You can't save all the food in your house, only enough for 3 meals, because you have to have 3 meals on Shabbat. Not only for yourself and everybody in your family, also for the animals. They have to eat. The food's in there, so you save your dog food, your animal fodder, enough for 3 meals. Well, certainly for humans. For the animals, whatever, however much they eat. Kesad, well, actually, it depends what time it happened. If the fire broke out before you had Friday night dinner, then you've saved enough for 3 meals. But if it happened in the morning after you already ate Friday night dinner, only 2 meals left, so only save 2. If it happened in the afternoon, then you only have to save 1 meal for a Sudah Shiddushit. That's Tanakama. Rabbi Yosef Omer, the Olam Asin Mezon Shalosh Seudat. Always 3 meals. We just make a standard. Since you have to have 3 meals, doesn't matter what time of day, even if it's 5 minutes before Shabbat. Still, you can save 3 meals. We make a standard amount. Okay, now we're going to wonder about this. Now, if you're doing it permittedly, we're going to see later on that this is talking about moving it into a courtyard. So it's not mukseh, it's not carrying. Like, what's the problem? Why can't I save all the food? Save more. We have 2 answers to this. What's the prohibition? We know the psychology of people. If you say you can go and save everything you want, the person's going to start saving this and that, and he's all flustered. His house is burning down. So rather than go and save everything, he's going to end up putting out the fire, and that will violate Shabbat. Midoraita, I guess. It's really hard to say because remember, putting out a fire is only considered doraita if you're doing it for productive reason, like if you want to make the wick better. But okay, anyway, he's not allowed to put out the fire. So what we do is we tell him, give him a limit. You're allowed to save 3 meals. So then he'll concentrate on that, and he'll know he's giving up on everything else that's in the house. That's Rabba's opinion. So he says, wait, I have a Braita, Abaye says, that's against you. It says, the Braita says, let's say I have a barrel of wine on the roof, and it breaks, and now the wine is going off the roof and pouring down on the side onto the floor. So I'm allowed to go and get a vessel and put it on the floor to catch the wine that's dripping down. That is allowed. What I cannot do is to bring yet another vessel and catch it midair, or another one and put it at the base of the roof to catch it there. That's it. You can just bring 1 vessel and put it on the floor. That's all you're allowed to do. The reason there you can only bring 1 is because we make a gezerah. If you're allowed to bring as many vessels as you want, then he's going to go to the Reshut Harabim, get more vessels and more vessels. So we say you're allowed to put 1 because you'll have 1 handy. And so too here we can say the same thing, that we made a decree you can only bring 3 meals because if you have to bring more, then you're going to end up violating and even carry into Reshut Harabim. Okay. So that's therefore now we have 2 reasons for the halacha in the Mishnah. Now we're going to go into this proof that Rava brought that Abaye brought is interesting. Let's analyze it further. Kufa נשברה לו חבית בראש גגו מביא כלים מניח תחתיה בלבד שלא יביא כלי אחר וילקוט כלי אחר וישרף. Right? You can only bring 1 vessel and catch the thing on the floor, in the air and not at the roof. Now, we're continuing the braita. If there are guests, if you invite guests, then you can bring another vessel because you want to serve the wine to your guests, and now you need more wine, and you're allowed to bring more vessels to catch more wine. And you could put that midair, you could put it at the bottom of the roof and catch more. I know what you're thinking. No, you can't catch it and then invite guests. You have to first invite the guests, so you go around and say, everybody wine, everybody come over, you go to your neighbors, invite them, and then you run back, then you can bring more vessels, and you're saving it for them. Because now there's more people drinking, so you can save more. But no tricking, okay? No trickery. In other words, they have to be real guests that are really going to drink it, okay? Not that they already drank and they're already full, right? Only if they're really, if you really invited them to drink. That's the first opinion. However, Rabbi Yosef says you can make a trick. You can tell them, come make believe you're drinking, but really you have in mind that they're not going to drink, and you're going to gather all the wine later, right? And you're only bringing them to save the wine, not because you actually want to invite them and that they're actually going to drink. So this is a very interesting mahloket, whether you're allowed to make loopholes that you don't mean that are actually lies or not. Now we're going to bring another case where similarly, we have a question, can you make a trick like this? Perhaps these two Tanaim agree with these two, the dispute between these two Tanaim. Betanya, another case of tricking. On Yom Tov, you're allowed to do shechita on an animal if you want to eat it. So on Yom Tov, what happens if two animals fell into a pit? Cistern. Now, one of them is a mother and a child. So you cannot slaughter a mother and a child animal on the same day, right? That's a halacha. It's not nice. You're going to wipe out the whole, the whole lineage, the whole line in one day. But us says you can't do that. So therefore, I cannot rescue both of them because I can only rescue it if I'm going to use it. If I'm going to kill it and eat it. Otherwise, it's mukseh. Otherwise, I have nothing to do with it. So now I have a case that both fell in. What do I do? The first opinion of Eliezer says you can't make any tricks. What do? You take out the first one and you say, I'm going to do shechita and eat this one. Hasheni, you have to give it food in its place. You throw down some food into the pit. And you wait till Bishvil Shelo Yamut, so it won't die. And you wait till after Yom Tov and you save it after Yom Tov. You do your best. That's Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yoshua, watch what he says. Amenata shochato. Beno shochato. You say the first one, that looks really delicious. I think I'm going to eat it. So you pull it up and in mind to do shechita. And then after you pull it up, you say, nah, I changed my mind. I'm not in the mood for that one. And you look down the pit and you see, oh, look at that one. I think I want to eat that one in the pit that you left there. So, and then once you've saved them both, then do whatever you want, pick whichever one. Okay? So you see that according to Rabbi Yoshua, you can make a trick in order to save both. And this is similar to Rabbi Yosef, who also says you can make a trick so that you can save more wine. And so perhaps they agree with each other against the Tanakama there, and Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer here, who says you cannot make a trick. So can we correlate these one to one? This is another good example of comparing different cases that at first glance are very different. And so are they comparable? It seems yes, but maybe not. Let's see what the differences are between them. Mimai, Dilmad kan lo kamar Rabbi Eliezer hatam de'efshar bepanasa. No, maybe Rabbi Eliezer only said no tricking regarding the animal in the pit because you can feed it in the pit and it won't die. It's okay. Regarding the wine, there's no way I'm going to lose the wine. So maybe Rabbi Eliezer would agree that I can use a trick to save more wine and invite fake guests. Or the other way around. Perhaps Rabbi Yoshua says in this case, when it falls into the pit, that I am allowed to do a trick to save them both because the animal's suffering down there in the pit. So that's why he says use a trick to relieve the animal suffering. But here, when the wine is dripping, the wine has no feelings, and so he would not permit making a trick with the wine. So you see that now we can argue that they're the same. We can argue that they're different in either direction. Okay, very interesting. Tanur banan, hisil pat nikiya and masil pat hadra'a. Back to the subject of saving food. If I saved fine bread, I can't go back and save coarse bread because you already have fine bread, enough for 3 meals. But if let's say I went in and I found the stale bread and I saved it, and then I go back and I say, oh, I forgot about this fresh bread that I have. You're allowed to save the fresh bread as well, because you can go up and then that'll make your Shabbat nicer. Masilin pat nekiya. Okay. Masilin miyom kippurim l'Shabbat. Avalom Shabbat l'Yom Kippurim. If you have Shabbat Yom Kippurim back to back, which we said we cannot never have in our calendar, but they did have back then. If the fire broke out on Yom Kippur, well, then you can save food on Yom Kippur to eat 3 meals on Shabbat. That is allowed. But the other way around is not. Not that you're eating on Yom Kippur. I assume it means that you are saving for a meal after Yom Kippur, I guess, or maybe someone who needs to eat on Yom Kippur. And certainly you cannot save food on Shabbat for Yom Tov. First of all, it's a lower level, so you can't prepare. And anyway, you can cook new food on Yom Tov. And you can't save from this week to next week, right? Even though they're equal status, but during the week you'll go and get more food. Only save 3 meals for this Shabbat. Okay, Tanur Banan. Now we just spoke about saving bread. This is very interesting halacha. They used to make bread by taking dough and sticking it on the side of the oven. It would just stick there and and then they would cut it off, pry it off the wall. So right before Shabbat, I'm making bread. I put it on, and I forgot to take it out of the oven before Shabbat. Now I'm going to leave it in there. It's going to burn. So it's similar to the case of the house burning down. All right, and that's all the bread I have. So the bread is in there. Shabbat started. The halacha is masilin mezon shalosh seudot. I can go open the oven and save enough bread for 3 meals. And then I go to my friends. I said, everybody come get some bread, and then everybody can save enough for 3 meals. And when he does pry it off the wall, don't use the regular baker's paddle, but rather just use a knife. Do it in a different way. Shinui. Okay, that's the baraita. Ini b'hatana deber Rabbi Ishmael lo taseh kol melacha yasat tikat shofar urdiat tapachi chochma bena melacha. There's no time. What's wrong with taking the bread out of the oven? After all, we have yet another baraita from the school of Rabbi Ishmael that says when it says you can't do melacha, only something that's a melacha, only something that's a creative, productive work, which we know what they are. But blowing shofar and removing bread from the oven are called chokhmah. They're not called melacha. This is very important that blowing shofar is actually not prohibited on Shabbat or Yom Kippur or Yom Tov, right? Because it is chokhmah. It's for this reason that we can blow shofar on Yom Kippur even before the fast is officially over, right? We still blow shofar. Okay, so here taking food out of the oven is a chokhmah, not melacha. So why can't I take it out? And since you're right, it's not a melacha, but still, as much as possible to do it in a different way, we try because we want to preserve the sanctity of Shabbat, although it's not a full-fledged melacha. Okay, now that you mentioned that you messed up and you forgot to take the food out of the oven, the bread out of the oven, now we give some good advice. That when you're going to prepare for Shabbat, do it in the morning. Don't do it last minute, and then you're going to forget the bread in the oven. אמר רב חיסדא, לעולם ישכים אדם להוצאת שבת. שנאמר, והיה בהום ביום השישי יכינו את אשר יביאו. Right in the morning, start preparing for Shabbat. Because when the man fell, the double man fell on Shabbat, they woke up in the morning and they collected the man. Baltad, right away. אמר רבי אבא, בשבת חייב אדם לבסוע על שתי כיכרות, הכתיב, וההם משנה. Now that you mentioned the pasuk about man, another halacha, that when you break bread for the Shabbat meal, you should have 2 loaves, because in remembrance of the double man that fell out on Friday. and everybody took a double portion. Okay, this is the source, the famous halacha that we all do. Amar Rav Asher, Chazina le Rav Kana de nakat tarteu basa hada. Just as I saw, Rav Kana, he did take 2 loaves, but he only cut one of them. Amar laktu ketiv, and he explained, it says they collected 2, so you have to have 2. But you don't have to eat both, you don't have to break both. Okay, so that's a good halacha. You don't have to, if you're have a big loaf and you're not going to eat the whole thing, so just cut one and you can save the next one for another meal. The Bizera had the custom that he would, when cut the bread, he would take a big piece that would last him the entire meal. They had a lot of bread with their meals, instead of utensils, they would be dipping in tahine. What are you doing that? You look like a glutton. You're taking this giant piece of bread. This is like pita bread. You have a giant thing. This is not respectful, not a nice way to act. No, it's okay. All week long, I take a little piece. I have good table manners. So since all week long, I act properly. So on Shabbat, you can see I'm doing it not because I'm a glutton, but rather because I want to honor Shabbat. Rabbi Ameh Rabbi Aseh ki mekla lehu rifta de eruba sharu alave amre ho'il v'it abid ba chada mitzvah it abid ba mitzvah harina. This is when Rabbi Ameh Rabbi Aseh, when they had the eruv. We call the eruv, we think of the eruv as a string, but actually eruv means a joint meal. And what we do till today is we have some meal. We use a couple of boxes of masa, and we put it in one person's house. And the idea is they might have done it every week. They take a meal, put it in one person's courtyard to say, look, we're all joining together, and joining the meal, we're all joining our courtyards. So when they happen to host the eruv bread in their home, they would make the blessing and start eating that. And they said, since we perform one mitzvah with it, the mitzvah of eruv, so we will perform another mitzvah, and they would bless that food and eat it first. And so that's how we conclude with a few halachot about, so since we started with saving food on Shabbat and 3 meals, we incorporate a tangent of other halachot and customs that we do to enjoy the 3 meals and to have the 2 loaves of bread. Baruch Adonai Olam, amen v'amen. Thank you, everybody.